Started this trip out with 90-degree air temps. It's currently about 36 degrees outside, 7:15 in the morning, and we're on the final day. I don't know where the time went. Caught a bunch of big fish, but man, dude, it's almost over.
I know.
Today's like the culmination of the entire week. Like, we got to put everything together, everything we've learned to try and make this thing happen and try to figure out how to put together a big bag. I think with the knowledge that we've learned and the spots we're going to run and the light wind and the sun, hopefully we'll be able to do something pretty cool.
We've located the fish. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, day to day, you don't know how you're going to catch them. Conditions have changed a ton.
Let's get to running. We have about a 6-mile run down lake, and we'll catch you guys here in just a second. Water temp fell about 6 degrees since the other day we were in here, which doesn't surprise me with how deep and cold this lake is. Water temps on day one in this pocket were about 54 degrees. They're currently about 47, 48 degrees. So with some strong east winds, cold mornings, these water temps have fallen pretty drastically. I don't know what that's going to do to these fish. We never really got on a good bite the other day out here, but it's all potential, right? So hopefully it'll help this bite instead of hurt it. It'll keep these fish off a little bit more, make them come up and feed a little bit better. Fish. Big smallmouth.
Big smallmouth.
Literally first cast of the morning, dude.
It's a huge one.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
That was pretty sick.
Didn't you just say we struggled out here the other day?
We did struggle out here the other day. First cast of the morning, that fish ate a little swimmer. Really, really good. Just a 3.3 power swimmer. Sexy shag colored and diner shiner head, an 1/8 ounce. And a real nice chunky fish. I don't think we caught one out here the other day, but super fat, super healthy. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, bud.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
As you just said, yeah, the water swim's dropping.
Whew.
I like it.
That was sweet. They're all over that wood. Literally first cast of the morning. Like, unbelievable. Either that's a good omen or a terrible omen, but we're gonna take it for a good one for now.
Heck yeah.
That last fish I scanned over to just to look at my bait coming through the water, see kind of how it was looking on the scope. There's one. Yeah. So cool. That water is so clear. That's
Very nice.
Sweet. That is sweet. I mean, it's just a chunky one. Thanks, buddy. It also helps that we're staying off of them and we know where it's at. You know what I mean? We're not hunting for it. Yeah, I can't tell. I don't think it is very big, but it's also coming straight to me, so I don't know. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. This is one thing we've been doing all week is when we have an area, especially if we can see, we've been turning off the graphs, turning off all sonar transmissions, so there's no ping. We're just going super stealth on them. And I think that matters. We've been keeping trolling motor on low. Right now we're at 3, but just touching it as sparingly as possible, because I think these fish, especially in the clear water, can sense us a lot better than we even realize. So the best advantage we have is just to be as stealthy as we possibly can be. That's why also light line super key. 8-pound braid to 6-pound fluoro with a really long leader, and Caleb's going straight fluoro 6-pound. That's kind of been the game plan all week. That's what we've started to figure out, and I think it is making a big difference. So if you guys can get away with it, don't run your graphs, use the trolling motor sparingly, I think you'll have a lot more success. You know, one thing we're really focused on right now, we just got done with that first spot, is hitting these spots at the right timing. the more time we spend out here, the more opportunities we get to come check on these fish, the better we're going to get at the timing of the spots and when the bite is firing the best. Now in the past couple days, it's been about getting out there for low light morning bite. I'm hoping, because we saw a bunch of really big fish in that shallow wood, that as the day progresses a little bit, as the water temps come up, those bigger fish are going to become more active, more aggressive. Maybe those smaller fish will start to become a little less active, but it'll make those bigger fish bite. So just kind of timing, rotating spots, checking on things. We're going to run over to a spot where Caleb caught all those fish on the first day and see if that's popping off. Got him? Good one?
Oh, yeah. Not bad.
There you go.
Not bad.
Good work, dude.
Go to the drone.
Hey, you better never put that drone away.
They have to bring like 30 batteries.
There's a bunch of them down there. So I'm thinking we fish this spot, and if we catch a big one, keep it in the rotation. If we don't, we go hit the other one. If we don't catch a big one there, we go in the river and try to catch them for a couple hours. Settled. We're gonna catch a 7-pounder each. Big
That would work. Do it off that point. Drag me.
There you go. That's like the most Michigan thing you could ever do, is drag a tube from behind the boat.
Yep.
That is like the Michigan right there. I'm not saying I want wind, but I'm thinking this no wind is making these fish pretty damn sensitive. Thick one. Heck yeah. That's a better one. Look how thick that one is.
I know.
One's been eaten.
Yeah.
Thanks. Look how tiny the mouth is. How big the belly. Thanks, buddy. I'm just taking the swim bait and fishing it right above this submerged wood. There's a bunch of these big logs and laydowns down here, and these fish are hanging out in and around it. Without any sun, they just kind of roam around this stuff. So you can throw a swim bait over it and near it, and a whole bunch of them are just roaming around. And a lot of times we're turning the graphs off so we don't have any additional noise or interference for these fish to feel us, because the more stealthy we can be, especially in this water that's more than 20 feet clear, it's really, really key. I think my fish is about the top class fish there is.
Yeah.
Might have been real close, I mean, but I don't think we're fishing for 5-pounders on this spot, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, if there is 5, there's not fish.
Right, that's correct. The payday rally bars. We need these right now because we are not necessarily struggling, but just not catching them as good as we want. So we have 4 hours left. It's 11 o'clock. We're going to head out of here by 3. And one of the things we noticed was that on the main lake, these fish are still very pre-spawn, and I think a lot of those bigger females are pushed out, or they're just really inactive out here. I mean, the water is barely 50 degrees, and it's just become pretty tough. So we're going to run back to where we were catching them the past couple of days. I think hopefully have a shot at a really big one. We kind of have an understanding of what's going on. Those fish are moving shallow. They're still a little bit pre-spawn, but at the same time, we can throw a hair jig around that shallow cover and catch them.
Exactly.
And we also sort of know what to look for in the contours. So let's try to do that.
Deal.
Caleb just took a bite of his rally bar.
I did not. I just licked it.
Okay.
Just a bite of licking.
Touching our rally bars together. The payday, because that's what we're looking for.
Oh, in spirit. Be Thad's hand. Oh, there we go. There it is.
There it is. Touching tips.
Let's go. Let's go get her water.
Hey, you okay, poor GoPro? Sorry for hitting you.
I boat driver. I drive boat.
That's going in the video.
It's a good one though. Ooh, that's heavy.
Oh, these fish are built different.
Wow, that's a heavy fish, brother. Good work. There's a bed right here. One of those beds. Getting all these fish that were spawning up in those reeds. Push back off this break, dude.
Yeah.
That's right.
They went up there. That's why everybody's been in here fishing these reeds. Because probably a few days before they were just like, somebody smashed them in the reeds and told everybody.
Probably.
And everybody came in here and fished the reeds.
That's funny. I can't tell. It's going straight deep though. That's right though, right off the break. Thank you. Before I take this off, this has been the key all week. This is my last one. Berkeley 3.3 power swimmer, a little 1/8 ounce Diner Shiner swim bait head, and a Gamakatsu 1/0 111 hook. That's what I've been catching a bunch of my fish on. Obviously, I've also been catching them on a hair jig, but when I pick up the swim bait, this is the only one that seems to have been catching them lately. So, big one, dude. Absolutely throttled it.
Oh God,
Dude. Heck yes. It's another really good one. Super stealth though. I mean, like Caleb and I literally just came out of our mouths. We are going so slow, so stealth, being so careful. Thanks, fish. He throttled it, man. Dude, this might actually play in our favor. The water cooling off.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Because it'll just push him to right here.
If he was following yours. That looks big.
Feels big.
It looks big out there too.
Oh wow.
It looks big. Seems like it's a swim bait kind of day.
Oh, that's an old greasy one.
One eye. Didn't you catch old one eye last time?
I don't know if I caught this greasy of one. Dude, that bite is insane how they're eating it though. I mean,
We got a couple more times and Taylor's gonna have
swim bait is really in his mouth. And they're just smoking it. And Caleb had just said I got followed up on that last cast.
You still throwing that little bit heavy head.
Thanks, man. Nope, 1/8 ounce. Dude, we catch them like that, we're bound to run into some big ones.
No.
That's the thing, is like, yeah, that wasn't that big of a fish, probably 3.5, but like, we're bound to run into a big one eventually.
They're biting, they're biting.
Okay, you ready? We got an hour and a half. Hour and a half to do the damn thing. And we gotta go. Seeking Bronze Season 2 is done. Pike are probably my favorite species to catch.
Big smallmouth, holy cow. Small? Big. Real big. Stay out of it.
You're good. Just fight him. Normal. You got him. You're good. You're good. You got him. You got him.
That is such a flat fish.
Holy heft. heft
off the
monster,
tip of that
buddy.
log. Oh my gosh, that's a big one, dude.
Caleb.
That's a big one. Oh my goodness.
Dude. Amazing work. Amazing. Zeros. You completed the circuit. You got a 5-pounder, a 6-pounder, and a 7-pounder.
Where'd you go?
6.04.
6.04. The most raggedy looking hair jig you've ever seen in your life. Look at this thing now.
You've got a 5, a 6,
And a unicorn.
and a 7. Amazing, Caleb. Yeah, dude, like the very worst part of the day is when those big fish bite.
So that fish hit it so hard, I thought I got hung on one of those giant logs in there. And I mean, we cannot get bit right now. That's the thing. This has happened to us a couple times now. It's like you can't get bit. It's the toughest part of the day, and that's when the biggest fish bites.
Best 5 go like 30 and almost a half.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be it. That's how we're going to wrap up Seeking Browns Season 2. Absolutely insane, man. The past 5 days have been like unreal. From the moment we got out here, Caleb hooked that 5.5 to the very last fish we caught was a 6-pounder, and there's not much more that we can really ask for. This is one of those series that's a lot of fun to make, but it's also a lot of fun to come out here and catch some fish. So
Yeah, and it's different lakes usually every time, you know. We planned on fishing this one lake pretty much exclusively, but of course, you know how Michigan is in the springtime. Like, you're not going to be able to get on one lake for 5 days in a row, especially a big lake.
That's right. And like, dude, the wind just kind of kept us off it the other day, but 4 of the 5 days we were out here. We were out here grinding, catching fish. I mean, it was one of those deals where we were able to stay on the lake, put some pieces together, and really start to make it happen. And had we not had the days where we struggled a little bit, we probably wouldn't have ended up where we did.
That's the thing. You always put in work to get the really good days. You know, the first day we didn't catch a whole lot of fish. We ended up with some really good ones. I think we started off the adventure with a 5.5 there after a couple small ones. But, you know, after that, it was mainly just going around. We were hitting different points of the lake, eliminating a ton of water super fast, so that when we had the right conditions that next day, we were ready. You know, we knew a bunch of different areas to go to, and once we put the little pieces together, it wasn't really difficult. The only thing after that was just the patience, because the bite windows were super short. So you had to have a ton of confidence to go in there and just grind it out doing that same thing, because you knew that you were going to get the bite.
Yeah, kind of expanding on that, right? Like, day one, at the very end of the day, after a pretty challenging overall experience, we had gone up shallow. It was really, really hot, and we had started seeing fish cruising around all the shallow wood. And what we started to realize were these fish were trying to get up to spawn. They were as close to spawning as they could be without actually getting up and doing the thing. So what we had realized starting day 2, we started in that same general area on that wood, and I was throwing a hair jig, and we ended up getting a couple bites, including that big 6-pounder that we started the trip with. And then from there, we started dialing it in. And what we found was a lot of these fish were on those lead-in banks going up into the spawning flats.
That's just a travel route. You know, they're coming in this narrow area, and they're going to follow those contour lines. So it's deep water close, so they can just kind of slide off because of the weather in the springtime. You're going to have cold fronts, you're going to have warm spells, and so they're going to sit right on that break leading into where they're going to spawn. And when it gets warm in the afternoon, they're going to kind of get up there and cruise around. First thing in the morning, they're going to be kind of off it a little bit more. But one of the main keys too was finding that cabbage, you know, and once we started to find that, then we could pretty much call our shot where we were going to find fish. And then it was just a matter of staying in there, you know, hanging in there, as they say in Tennessee, like a hair in a biscuit, until we got the bite. So you just keep grinding, you keep going through there. But the funny thing was, we were around thousands of fish and big fish all the time. And when the bite would kick off, it didn't matter where we were in relation to that, we were going to start getting the right kind of bites. So it's really kind of neat to see that. I mean, if we had 5 guys doing the exact same thing that we were, they would all get the right bite in any one of those spots at that particular time.
Well, and that's one of like those big swim bait things. That's like the big swim bait mentality, like being in the right spot when the bite window starts. And for the most part, we were fishing this tiny, tiny hair jig this week. Just a 3/32 ounce, black and purple, homemade marabou hair jig with a little piece of accent on the back. And this bait has incredible drawing power. Like, it will pull fish from a long way away. It's super finesse, and it gets these fish to travel to come eat it. We paired that on this one with 8-pound test braid to 6-pound test fluorocarbon line on a top shot. What that top shot means is it's about a 40-foot leader to basically give me the most opportunity to finesse those fish into getting to bite. And then really critical this week were the rod that we were throwing. Caleb had ended up losing some fish on the first day or two. He was throwing a little bit shorter rod that wasn't quite as moderate. This rod was designed for throwing hair jigs on. It's a 7'6", medium light, moderate fast, and it's really perfect for throwing a hair jig or small swim bait on because it loads up really well and it keeps those fish pinned. The other bait that we were throwing was a small swim bait, and this is basically the setup of the week for me. I caught a 589 on this and a bunch of other fish, but the color was really key. It's a sexy shag color.
Show them to the head. Grab the hook and show them the head, because that's super key with that particular bait too. When you got a small swim bait like that, it does have a lot of drawing power for these fish as well, because they can see it. But having a head like that, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a head shimmy, which is really important. You know, I throw a lot of really big swim baits, and having that little bit of a shimmy back and forth, that little head popping back and forth, really can, you know, close the deal for you. When that fish closes the distance to that last, you know, foot or so, it just looks really natural and realistic to have that thing, you know, wobbling like that. So it's extremely key. A lot of guys don't think about it, but on no matter what size swim bait that you've got, the head itself and the action that the head imparts on it, and depending on what you're doing, is extremely important. You know, this is more like an open water design, whereas some of the heads that we throw are designed to kind of come through cover or on the bottom, deep shell beds, deep rock, you know, veins and stuff like that. But this is extremely important if you guys are going to go out and throw like we were on suspended fish, to where you're just penduluming that bait down the break and bringing it back to the boat and trying to draw the fish up. You know, they're feeding up on this bait. Yeah. So that's what seals the deal on that. If you're throwing a different head, you might not get that bite. Basically.
So our best 5 for the week went just over 30 pounds, about 30.5 pounds. On the scale, it reads 30.29. Really, it was probably about 30.6. I think we missed one on the scale that was about 5.89 or 5.86. So incredible week. Yeah. 7-pounder, 2 6-pounders, countless 5-pounders.
Yeah.
And it was just unbelievable.
And most every day, with the exception of the day that it really blew, we got on kind of like a walleye lake that day, and it's some really small spawning fish just to have fun. But every other day, I mean, we had a good limit. You know, even the first day when we struggled, we had a good solid limit. Second day, pushing 28 pounds. Third day, pushing 26 something. And then fourth day, you know, we were probably pushing 20 again today.
For sure. Yeah, man, it was an incredible week. Really appreciate all the support. I know I've gotten a lot of messages and love on the Seeking Bronze series, so thank you guys for everything. Check out all the products we're using. It helps me as well. Takes you to the Omnia website, link to the rod, reel, line, entire gear setup that you guys need to have success out there on the water.
You know, to catch a 7-pounder, you know, anywhere in the country is just insane. That's a fish of a lifetime. That's been my life goal, you know, kind of set for myself, was to catch a smallmouth between the 7 and 8 pound range. So seems like every year we bump it up a pound, so I don't even know what we're going to do next year.
Yeah, I mean, what's an 8-pounder, right?
Yeah, so might as well catch an 8, I guess.
Dick.
Doesn't even know my name.
Love to Shadius behind the camera. None of this would have been possible without him, man. He got some incredible drone shots, incredible camera work, got some sick photos. I mean, it was just an incredible week. That I'm glad that we had him here, because I couldn't have captured this half as well as I'm sure he did. So
it was definitely the time to have the dude behind the camera, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks,
and he sucked it up for some long days.
Long, miserable days where the bite was really not that great, too. He just sat there and was like ready. Anytime we'd hook a fish, he'd have the camera up and ready to go. So thanks, dude. For real, thanks for coming. So anyways, boys, we're out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, Ted Lions. God bless. Go seek some bronze of your own. Catch you next time. And pursue your passion.